Okay, so now I'm going to bring Bevin into the spotlight and bring Sienna into the spotlight. And then I'm going to sneak out of the spotlight. Thanks for joining us, Bevin.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Bevin.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being our Q&A guest today. Got to start the conversation a little bit at open mic
Yeah.
next week, but excited to talk to you more. So I have been in several classes with you, but I don't know everything about your background, and I was kind of wondering if you could give us an idea about your sort of journey into becoming a songwriter, because I know that you're trained as a violinist and you're an amazing violinist. You play in the band Trout Steak Revival. If people don't know, you should definitely look that up. It's a awesome indie Americana bluegrass band in Colorado that Bevin is a part of. So, was songwriting something that happened early in your musical journey or something that sort of developed later?
I think it was developed later. I think I wrote a song in seventh grade about a sailor that was drunk. But there's already that song. But then I took like a probably 10-year break after that. And didn't really start writing songs until like after graduating college and doing that kind of stuff because you get kind of boxed in college into like your major, so it's like, oh, you're a violinist now, that's the only music that you can kind of do. So I started writing songs probably like around 2007. A friend of mine, Jay Stratton, and I started a group called the Mile Markers, and we it just was like a fun little folky duo, and we had a lot of freedom to kind of experiment with stuff like that. So that's kind of when that happened. And then Trout Steak, we push each other to write songs. So that is just another reason to write. And then Friday Afternoon Song Club is kind of like my reason currently to write songs, which is an interesting experiment too.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
If anybody has questions at any point, feel free to jump in. So, within the band, do all four of you write songs?
Yeah, we all four of us write, and we try to have at least some representation of everyone on each album. So, and all of us sing the songs that we write, like the lyrics to. So that, which is really helpful for putting on a genuine performance.
Yeah, yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. I'm curious when you're writing a song, because I know that you do some solo stuff as well, and maybe you're branching out into that more. Is there a moment when you know, like, oh, this should be a Trout Steak song, or do you write differently if you're thinking perhaps that it will be, or does it just sort of naturally develop?
I think that like naturally I'd be like, this is not a Trout Steak song. Like the song I just wrote was weird. Like it has gardening animal characters. So I have no idea where that came from. And it's probably not gonna be on a Trout Steak album. Like, but so there's stuff like that where you like know that this is not a Trout Steak song. And you know if it is or could be too. Like,
I want to hear that one though. That sounds
oh my
amazing.
gosh, it's I just had a blast. Oh man. Which is
Um, oh, go ahead.
no, it was just one of my last goal was to write something without attachment to anything that it becomes. And I was like, okay, this is weird. But it's nice. It's got a little riff. I don't know. I'll try to post it.
Yeah, I think we all want to hear it.
We're gonna have a little laugh.
So I know that you've taken a lot of courses with Golden Lotus over the years, and I think we were in the first Compose Yourself course together.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what are some struggles maybe that you face as a songwriter or if there's any like particular light bulb moments you've had, or like little tips that you've picked up either from Golden Lotus or other places that really help you when you're struggling.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that this week because I tend to, when I'm doing a project that it's supposed to be good, then I get really um very critical of my own creative process and can't really sit in it that much. And recently I've been writing some string parts for a friend's future album, and I needed to do some listening, but I try to do something creative that I know I'm not critical of, like a craft or like cooking or something like that, while I'm thinking about the creative project, to try to like put myself in the like my mind in that place kind of. So I like did some quilting, some light quilting the other day while listening to like Motown string arrangements, trying to like let myself not get critical of like what I would do as an arrangement myself. And that has been working really good. I love when Gary just tells you to do whatever, and then you're like, okay, I'll do that. And then that's great for me. I have an app on my phone. There's this set of cards called the oblique strategies, which were like kind of it's like all these different kind of things to use in the studio, and it's like just like an element of randomness to things so that you don't get too stuck in like a pattern, and you just like tap it and it gives you another like instruction. And I have like another thing of cards by oh, what is his name? The guy who wrote Closing Time in that song. He has like a set of cards, and they're just like songwriting cards, so you can like it's kind of like tarot but for songwriting, where you're like, this card will help me somehow because of randomness, or because like some vibe wanted me to have it in this moment, like. So I use a lot of that stuff because then I can't it gives me like a path to go down that is outside of myself, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. I don't remember the name of that singer either, but I remember listening to
Something
a Song
Wilson.
Exploder episode about that song Closing Time, and now I hear that song so differently than I used to.
Yeah, I actually like my roommate in college, her brother was his best friend. So he's always been on my radar as like a really cool songwriter, but he's written with so many people. But he has some cards.
That's
I'm not
really
like
cool. I
sponsored by
should check
him.
them out. I love that. Yeah, I've been using some tarot cards in my songwriting that aren't for songwriting, but it works.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have questions for Bevin?
I have one.
Yay. Hi.
Hi, Bevin. When you're writing a song, I'm thinking about chord progressions. Do you go into a writing or a song thinking I want to write in a certain key, or do you just kind of pick up your guitar and start playing? Or do you purposely think this time I want to change things up and go at it differently, like, maybe have a progression that you don't typically use? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A lot of that happens like after. Like you can always add like more interesting chords, I've found, like after the fact, or change the whole chord progression. I've done that a few times, like recently, where I'll like write it and I'll listen back to the original recording that I make, and I'm just like, oh, where did those chords go? Like I used all different chords this time. But I've been kind of trying to start on like just singing and then finding the note of the melody and seeing what key that is, because I can usually figure out the key pretty fast, and then like picking chords after the fact, after the melody.
Cool.
That's what, yeah. But I also like sometimes I'll like hear a song and like learn the chord pattern and then get rid of the song melody and lyrics and kind of experiment with just like singing or creating something over like a more like a chord pattern that I would never think of, since like, and chords are not like they're not like intuitive to me. I'm not like, oh, that's the 1 4 5 whatever. I can find them and I can like intellectualize them, but they're not like something that I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna play this, this, and this, and it's gonna sound beautiful under this. I have to like really kind of experiment and figure that out.
Interesting.
Kind of, yeah.
Do you think that's because the fiddle is your main instrument, that your mind is, or your brain is about melody, and then you have to figure out what's under it? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's probably just because like the first 20 years of my music experience was just on melody or like vocal.
Cool.
Interesting.
My own weakness, or strength, I don't know. Both of those are true, probably.
For sure, for sure. And I like that you can, you give yourself that permission to come back to it, and you don't have to put the pressure on the first draft of having those perfect chords, but it's something that can develop.
And I'm lucky that I have like some friends in my life and like bandmates that are just like really good at that. Like that's where their strengths are, and they're like, oh, just like you play one thing through and they're like, try this, this, and this, and you're like, how did you know all of these things? But it's just where is kind of like the nice balance of having a band to bounce things off of.
Definitely. Any other questions about songs, life, anything for Bevin? Yeah, Todd?
You sort of already answered this a little bit, but I was wondering, when band members bring songs to the band, then do the other band members change it or want to change it or help to improve it or that sort of thing?
Yeah, all of the above. It's really nice. Like the way that the last thing you said, like to help improve it, is kind of what we strive to do. Just to like add melodies or add different, like there's always space for some sort of like riff or melodic lick, and sometimes that's not someone's strength, so like you'll come in and you're like, oh, this, and then why don't we harmonize? Like it'll just like kind of compound, and there's just like all these ideas coming together, which is really, it's nice when it works out really great, and then it can go horribly awry sometimes too, which is just the reality of humans like working together. But usually it's really like those times when it really works, we try to like replicate that over and over as a way to, or just think about those things. Remember like the good things and keep making those happen.
And so do you have that in mind when you're writing a song, that it's going to be changed for the better?
Oh, yeah, I think I do. I really love the collaboration process with anyone that I've worked with, because things happen that you're like, oh, whoa, like I didn't hear that at all. I was not going to make that at all. And this little like part of the song is like so much better, or just like so much more interesting because of this one little thing that someone else like heard automatically. And that is just like, I mean, 4 brains is better than one, like as far as creative output goes. Like you just have more ideas.
Yeah, sounds like a fine situation.
It's pretty great.
Elon, did you have a question? The last one?
Yeah. Just as a songwriter but non-string player, if there's any either like string arrangers that you particularly admire, or songs with really cool, surprising string arrangements that you are into, or how you go about thinking about a string arrangement for a song? Anything you want to talk about that, I would love to hear.
Yeah, well, a lot of it depends on like what the vibe of the song is. Like if you want to have like if you want it to sound like there's an orchestra behind it or a string quartet, if it's intimate or like a little bit more expansive. And I've been listening, well, I don't know if I have favorites because I just love listening to what people have done, but I have like a playlist that has basically at least the ones that I could find, like all like 100 different like Motown string arrangements. Oh, Gene, what is his last name? I don't know. The man who was doing most of the string arranging for like the Motown stuff, it's nice to listen to like someone's progression throughout their career and like hear that. He did a lot of really cool stuff with Barry White, which are some of my favorite of his arrangements. And then there's I just love string arrangements. I'm really bad at remembering names on the spot. So there's someone else that was doing, he's a contemporary cellist. I can see his face. Maybe I'll like write something in the form if I remember it. But he did a lot of stuff for like Harry Nielsen. Is that right? Yeah. And like stuff with like bigger names throughout his career. And like I like his string arrangements because they're a little less busy than like the Motown string arrangements. And then I really love, there's just like this amazing kind of push towards like acoustic acts or like bands having string arrangements done for them. And like you can hear some great arranging on like Gregory Alan Isakov's album with the Choral Symphony. There's like Brandi Carlile's, one of her albums or some of her live shows that she did 2 years ago. She had a string section touring with her and that was really awesome to listen to. And then I love string players who are playing like not necessarily in the classical style, but in a more improvised style, but still in like a chamber ensemble type of situation. And I can figure out some names of people and let you know, but that's what I listen to a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd love to see a Spotify playlist or if you want to share that.
Yeah, totally. I can put that up for sure.
Yeah, I was also going to say we can post in the forum, like if you just under the general discussion, if you feel like throwing up a list with some of your favorites, or if you make
Perfect.
a playlist and you want to link to it there, that would probably be a great place for everybody to see it.
Great. I'll do that. And then, because I can never remember names on the spot, but I can write them down pretty easily.
Yeah, I would love to see that too. That would be awesome.
Sweet.